Mr. Taylor, um, is there any concern that I need to have?
I a concern between Mr. Cooper and his father and grandfather? None whatsoever.
No concern about Mr. Cooper's mental health?
I I don't believe so, Your Honor. I've spoken to Mr. Cooper, and
Because
there's some outstanding charges, but there's some, as we said, we weren't litigating this case today.
Well, this is what I get, Mr. Taylor. I get that a family wants to save their son, and they'll tell me anything about whether they took the threat seriously or whether the threats were made. Or, I take that with a grain of salt. It's the same as when somebody who's been in an abusive relationship comes to me and tells me that they want the abuser to come back home because, well, I mean, love will cover a multitude of sins. But Mr. Cooper, how old are you?
25.
Were you living in the home with Mr. Derek and Mr. Leon Cooper?
Yes, ma'am.
Why? You good and grown. You got your fancy earrings, your fancy haircut, paying money for all of those things, but you can't pay money for your own house. But you're gonna flip off at two grown men living in a house, two seniors, and you're gonna have a tantrum that results in you threatening to kick your daddy and your grandfather. I'm sorry. I was raised too old school to just take this in stride. First of all, we as parents are failing you children from this generation because y'all can't stand on your own 2 feet. Every time I turn around, somebody living with their mama and grandmama, the mamas and the grandmamas paying your rent, paying for your child support, paying for your place for you to live. I just really can't stomach it. And then when they do all of that for you, the way you repay them is you show your natural butt. I just don't understand it. It makes no sense to me. They're willing to, I bet the bond that you're on from the felony case, I bet one of them put their house up for it. If I'm wrong, I promise you I'm not. And in all of that, you have so little respect for what these gentlemen have experienced and have done and have gone through in life to put you in the to have the ability that you have, and you're gonna flow up in here with your little earrings and your little glasses and your little shirt, and you go because you're threatening old men. Where you get that from? Where they do that at, as the children say? This lack of respect in your generation. I bet there's a PlayStation or Xbox in their house. I bet they stay on while you use up their electricity. What job are you working at, Mr. Cooper?
I currently work at IHOP.
Oh, which if that's the kind of job that's the only job you can get, that's fine. It is a job. What happened with school? Talk about it. Did you finish high school?
Yes, I finished high school, ma'am.
Did you go to college?
No, I didn't go to college.
Okay. So they prepared the way. You finished high school. Did you get a trade? Did you get HVAC, plumbing, electricity, something where you could stand on your own 2 feet?
I've been working on trying to get trades and all that type of stuff. I've just been worried about my freedom in my life right now.
No, you shouldn't have been worried about your freedom, because if you were engaged in studying to get a trade, you wouldn't have had time to be in a place where you need to worry about your freedom. You'd have been worried about getting them grades or getting those skills. So you sitting around with too much time on your hands, and you ain't getting, you're not using it for a good purpose. You over there using it for a bad purpose, and then you're threatening the two people who standing in support of you. You're threatening the two people who standing in support of you. Now, while I understand the senior Mr. Cooper's father and grandfather for wanting to support you, they have done nothing to help you because you're irresponsible. You're disrespectful. And you're standing before this court after having threatened two people who are probably the only people remaining in your corner. You need to grow up, Mr. Cooper. But I tell you, as things go, you better hope several things. One, you better hope you don't get Judge Mason upstairs on your felony case, and you better hope you don't get convicted, because you'll grow up real fast in the Georgia State Penitentiary system. You will. They'll grow you up right and fast. All of the stuff that you had going for you, you don't have no better sense than to mess it up with foolishness. That's why I asked because if you had a mental health issue, then I could make some accommodation for that. That I would understand. But you just ruined. You just spoiled rotten and disrespectful. Let me tell you something, sir. No matter what happens with that felony case, don't come back before me with no misdemeanor. Please. Do not come back in this court. Please. Please and thank you. And what that means is you got 2 years. We in a relationship. 2 years to be on probation in front of me. 2 years. So for 2 years, you better toe the line. You come back for one probation revocation, we're going to have a whole different conversation. You understand me?
Yes, ma'am.
Because what you're not going to do is disrespect seniors on my timeline. You're not doing that. Especially the ones taking care of you, you spoiled butt. I'm going to accept your plea of guilty to count 1, 12 months probation, to pay a fine in the amount of $300, which will be $444, 40 hours of community service, an anger management class, and you're to have no violent or harassing contact with Mr. Derek Cooper or Mr. Leon Cooper. And I'm telling you, I really wish it was no contact. I'm honoring their wishes, not yours, because I know over the course of the next several years, you're going to need them. But really, it should be no contact, because you should be forced to stand on your own 2 feet. What count 2 will run consecutive, which means that it will start when the first one ends, and then you will have another 12 months probation, 40 hours of community service, and no violent or harassing contact with Mr. Leon or Mr. Derek Cooper. We clear?
Yes.
Have I made myself clear, Mr. Cooper, about how I feel about this?
Yes, ma'am.
Have I made myself clear that you need to grow up?
Yes, ma'am.
You have children, Mr. Cooper?
No, ma'am.
Please don't have any children, Mr. Cooper. Not until you become a mature adult. Because age ain't nothing but a number when you act like a kid throwing tantrums. All right, sir, you're going to leave the courtroom. Yes, sir?
Your Honor,
I'm not waiving fees, Mr. Taylor.
I'm not asking that. I just, Mr. Derek Cooper, as the named victim, wished to make a statement.
Sure, I'll talk to Mr. Cooper. I got a piece I want to say to Mr. Cooper. Come on up, sir.
And I would point out that Mr. Cooper, Derek Cooper, reached out to me directly. I didn't go to him and ask him what he was going to say to the court. And he also reached out and wrote a statement to the solicitor's office prior to this case coming to court. So I just wanted to say this, Mr. Derek Cooper's actions were initiated of his own volition and not by any request or coercion from the defense.
I didn't take it as such, Mr. Taylor, but thank you for clarifying the record. Move Mr. Nazir out of the way. And let me hear from Mr. Derek Cooper.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Good afternoon, Mr. Cooper. Raise your right hand for me. You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true?
Yes, I do.
All right. All right, tell me what you got to say, sir.
Yes, Your Honor. I just wanted to say, during that time, I was going through cancer surgery. I was under a lot of medication, a lot of stress at that time. I believe the situation was not necessary. It was overblown. And I was taking about 7 different medications at that time. And I would like for this to end, which, you know, I think you ended today. But I just wanted to say it was blown out of proportion. And I should have used better judgment. But I was incoherent at that time. I was under
Well, Mr. Cooper,
I'm not on it no anymore. But yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Excuse me.
All right, so Mr. Cooper, I hear all of that. And while I wish you well with your cancer journey,
Thank
none of that erases the fact that your child is spoiled. He's 25 years old, sir, and we're ruining a whole generation. When did you, when you were young, when did you leave your parents' home never to return?
At the age of 19, I joined the United States military.
Okay. What I say to you is, and I say this to a lot of parents, what my mama, my husband's mama and daddy, what a lot of people who are successful, what their parents have said to them is, okay, you finished high school. You don't have to go to the military. You don't have to go to college. You don't have to go get a job, but you got to do one of those three things. I'm not forcing you. I'm not choosing which of those paths you take, but you can't live here. Because I'm grown. You need to get grown. You are you've reached the age of majority. You're legally grown, but now you need to take on some responsibility that makes you grown. What you've allowed your son to do is sit up in your house, use your electricity, dress and spend his money on what he wants to spend his money on, take no responsibility for anything else, not even for himself. And then he's become so spoiled that even in the midst of your cancer journey, he can't find compassion enough to watch his mouth in your house that you pay for. He paying any bills?
He gives me money.
But he living up on you. See, so Mr. Cooper, while I get that all of this is, you feel like you were taking medicine and you were going through your cancer journey. I get that. And like I say, I pray your strength and health, but we have got to stop turning out little boys and start raising men. We are allowing them to just be irresponsible. And then those same irresponsible people go out and then produce more kids that they're not being responsible for. Thank goodness he hasn't had the wherewithal to go out and have a child and be irresponsible. But that boy irresponsible. He is spoiled. And I promise you, I don't need you to verify it for me, but I promise you, the only reason he is out on bond on that felony is because you probably put up your house, you or your father. And sir, you have been in the military. You know that's not how men are made. You don't make a man coddling them. You know that. But that's what you're doing. Every person who is going to become a responsible adult has to walk their own path. And I say that from the standpoint of somebody who has gone to school and worked 2 jobs at the same time while I was going to school. Gone to school and worked full time, or gone to school and worked several part-time jobs to make it happen. Not that I didn't have the support of my family, I did. But if I was going to get out there and achieve, I had to make it happen. All you're doing is supporting him and being trifling. Because if he doesn't ever get out and face challenges, he will never grow up. He will never learn if he's responsible. He will never learn to meet challenges. He will never learn to stand up on his own 2 feet and be a man. And when you leave this earth, what you will leave is somebody who can't take care of themselves. No matter how much money you leave them, no matter what kind of house you leave them. I have heard stories of kids who have been given insurance money, a house, and a car when their parents leave this earth. And within a year, they broken homeless because they're irresponsible. Give Mr. Cooper, young Mr. Cooper, a deadline to get out of your house, a firm deadline, and make him be out on his own. If he got to have 10 roommates and he paying 1/10 of the rent portion, if that's what he needs to do to be a man, make him do it. Because I promise you, the path that he is on is because he's spoiled and doesn't have any responsibility. People who got responsibility, they don't have time to be threatening folk. They working too many jobs. They're trying to figure out how to get to the next level so that they don't have to work so many jobs. They're trying to figure out how to buy a house or rent a nice apartment or have a car, focused on that as opposed to I can sit up on my parents, use their electricity, play PlayStation or Xbox, Madden all day, rack up my points on my games because you got to play the dailies. I know all these things. And then disrespect the people who are trying to help me. And so I say to you, sir, I know you want to help him, but you're not helping him by coddling him. And you know deep in your heart, you didn't get to be the man that you are. Your daddy didn't coddle you, did he?
No, ma'am.
All right, then. So release him to be the man that he needs to be.
Yes.
Kick him out your house. Give him a deadline. All right?
Yes, ma'am.
And I appreciate your support of him. We all need it, but you don't have to carry him on your back. He got to learn to walk. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank
All
you.
right, Mr. Cooper, young Mr. Cooper, remember that you and I are in a relationship for the next 24 months. Every time you mess up, you will come back and see me. And I have up to 24 months that I could sentence you to. So please be mindful of that. All right, thank you, Mr. Taylor. Anything else we need to talk about before we conclude the criminal calendar? I think this was the last one.
Does Mr. Cooper go into custody based on the bond revocation and get?
Mr. Cooper's bond was revoked, but because we have resolved the case for which the bond was revoked, I will allow Mr. Cooper to change. That will be changed to Mr. Cooper being on probation for the sentence. So that bond revocation now will become the sentence of probation that he has received.
So he needs to meet with the probation officer now.
And then go ahead and write the order clarifying that for me, Mr. Well, it shouldn't matter. I think it should switch over.
I believe
Yeah,
so.
he doesn't have to be taken into custody at this time. But if the deputies need something to clarify that, just write it up and I'll sign it.
Okay. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you all. Much more efficient handling of
What about
cases.
parts, Judge?
apologize,
The
Your
state is
Honor.
ready on parts.
Oh, that's right. Parts was the last one.
So,
Much
Judge-
better today. Thank y'all so much.